Hello everyone, Francis Walsh here again with thedigitalmerchant.com, and today we're going to be discussing how to sell your profitable blog. So whether you're an affiliate site owner or a solopreneur, you've built up your blog and it's generating some revenue and it's worth a bit of money and you think now is the time to offload it. The bad news is that there's quite a lot to unpack here. It's not necessarily a simple process. So, when it comes to making it attractive to buyers, marketing it, getting the sale over the line, all the technicalities that come with that, there's quite a bit to it. And so that's kind of why I made this video, to explain all the different stages involved and all the different pitfalls or potential pitfalls you'll need to consider. And another part of this video also is going to be exploring the possibility of third-party help. So there's buy and sell platforms out there that can help you with sales, and even a step beyond that, there's M&A brokers that can basically do the sale for you pretty much. They'll represent you in the sale, find a buyer, draw up all the financials, and get the deal over the line and all that kind of thing. And whether you need that level of service will really depend on the size of your business, the percentage of your portfolio it makes up, your budget in terms of fees, and your prior experience with making sales and all that kind of thing. So there's quite a bit to unpack, so let's get into it. So the first thing I want to cover is what buyers of blogs are going to typically be looking for. What are the factors of a blog that makes it more attractive for sale? Now, there's some elements here that you will be able to kind of adjust quite easily. Some things you'll be able to change to kind of make your blog more attractive to a potential buyer. Other things are a little bit more dyed in the wool, so you might just have to live with it. If something isn't ideal, it may affect your valuation, but you should probably still be able to get a sale over the line. So the first, I suppose, and most important thing when it comes to the sale of any business asset: consistent earnings and growth potential. So with blogs, this will typically come from traffic. Blog buyers love to see consistent traffic, and they love to see the potential for growth thereafter. The second point I would note here is kind of quite related to the first: diversified traffic. So a single point of failure in your traffic stream is really bad news for a buyer. If all of the traffic to your blog, or we'll say 90% of the traffic to your blog, is coming in through a single post or a single channel, be that maybe Google SEO or social media or whatever, buyers don't love that. They're going to prefer a kind of a diversified stream, so you're getting traffic from a lot of different posts, or you're getting, the flow of traffic is coming from different directions, whether it's Google or Facebook or whatever else. The more you can spread these across different buckets, the better position you're going to be in as a seller. Then the next point I'm going to look at is ease of transfer. How easily will the buyer of your blog be able to take up your operations after you're no longer involved? So do you write all the blogs yourself? Do you have a very specific tone of voice? Do you have standardized processes when it comes to content creation? If you're the type of blog owner who kind of, the blog is really reliant on the content you're writing yourself, your processes are a bit ad hoc, they're not standardized. If the less the blog relies on you personally, to put it bluntly, the better off you're going to be when it comes time to sell. So clean financials. Serious buyers are going to do their due diligence on your blog. So with that in mind, you're going to want to have accurate financial records, traffic stats, all that kind of documentation ready to go. So if you're even thinking of selling, the time to get all this kind of stuff in place is now, because amassing it and getting it all in a presentable order, it can take quite a bit of time and a bit of work. So it's better to get out ahead of that now and just have that all in order, because that's something any blog owner could do. As I was saying, not every piece of advice I give you might be actionable. This is definitely actionable. You can definitely do this, and you can start doing it now. And then quality content and good SEO. Now this, I suppose, for blogs is kind of bread and butter, but the more good content that's resonating with people that you have on your blog, the more money you're going to be able to command in a sale. So now I'm going to look at actual strategies, practical strategies that you use to get a sale over the line. So whether that's selling it yourself or using a platform or handing it over to a broker. So we're going to start with direct outreach, or finding a buyer yourself. This obviously is the most cost-effective method of doing this if you can manage it. You're not going to have to pay platform fees. You're not going to have to pay an M&A agent or advisor. So you get to keep the full proceeds of your sale, because how those services typically work is they'll take a percentage off the top. So from that perspective, obviously that's good. I do still recommend, in I'd say 95+% of cases, that sellers don't go down this route. unless you really unless you have someone lined up to take the business off your hands, or unless you have a good solid idea of the kind of buyer profile you're looking for and you have experience when it comes to getting this kind of thing over the line, I just think it's easier to involve a third party. That being said, right, if this is the route you're going to go down, there are a few kind of different methods you can use to find a buyer potentially. You can reach out to industry contacts. You can kind of use online communities. So Reddit has quite a few buy and sell communities that can be useful. Facebook and LinkedIn are good as well. If you've got an extensive personal network, you can try to lean on that. If you've got an email list, you can possibly blast it out to that, although that does obviously cause privacy concerns. If you don't want the whole world knowing you're selling your business, that's obviously not the way to go. So yeah, there are different ways you can do it, and most of them are kind of self-explanatory. But as I was saying, I really do think this isn't necessarily the kind of thing you want to DIY. I think, especially if it makes up a relatively big part of your portfolio, I think take the hit on the fees and let a professional get involved with you. So the next option we're going to discuss is brokerage. So I'm going to look at a couple of brokerages that can help you get a business sale over the line. The first one I'm going to look at is Quiet Light. And I would kind of regard Quiet Light as the standard bearer in this industry. They really provide a great service. I think at its core is the fact that every single one of Quiet Light's agents has either bought or sold a company themselves. And so they have that really hands-on experience that can just be so valuable in this area. They know exactly what you're going through as a seller. They know what it takes to find the right buyer and to get valuations done properly and accurately, to get the financials done and to get everything over the line. And I think when you're dealing with a transaction that's as important as this, and particularly if it's a high value transaction, it makes up a big percentage of your portfolio, this is the level of service that you want. So from that point of view, I really recommend Quiet Light. The other broker I'm going to look at today is FE International. Now, FE International is a much more traditional brokerage firm, I would say, than Quiet Light. It's not online first in the way the Quiet Light is. It's a little bit more closeted in terms of how it finds buyers, and it doesn't keep you quite as involved in the process. So, if you're someone who values transparency in the brokerage process, that's something to keep in mind, because Quiet Light really does keep you involved all the way through. If you prefer to kind of hand this off and just kind of get it done, you don't want to know all the details, FE International will certainly do that for you. I would also note that FE International doesn't really deal that much with small to mid-tier sales. Its kind of bread and butter is in the $1 million plus valuation range. So if you're less than that, you might have trouble getting them to do business with you. Quiet Light then, by comparison, kind of does a lot of business in the $100,000 and up range. So they do cater to that mid-market tier a little bit more. But if you are in that tier, I think there's a lot to like about FE International. I've heard great stories about the deals they've gotten done. So yeah, worth checking them out. And then the other method you can use to get your business sale over the line is to use a buy and sell platform. Now, these are kind of similar to brokers in some ways, but they offer a lower level of service, I suppose. They're not going to actively try to find buyers for you. They're not going to help you with valuation. Well, it depends on the platform in question, but a lot of them don't. And they just don't have all these extra features and add-ons that you would expect from a broker. So it really depends on the level of service you expect, and it also kind of depends on the speed that you're looking for with the sale. Platforms, you will tend to get sales over the line quicker with platforms just because there's less legwork involved. You pretty much just list your business on the platform and then buyers can see it publicly. They can, make offers with you directly. And so that process can get done in a matter of weeks. It's pretty quick. The other side to that is there's a lot of work that brokerages put in that now is going to have to fall to you. So you're going to have to do a lot of that legwork yourself, and it obviously depends on how much work and time you're willing to put into it. So it depends on the platform, but the main one I've looked at here is Flippa. And Flippa is kind of renowned as being the self-service platform. It's basically just a board, an online board on which you put up your company. A huge network of multiple millions of potential buyers can go and see it. They can have a look at it. They can have a look at the financials, all that kind of thing, and they can contact you directly to make an offer. As I was saying, right, if you want a sale done quickly, this is the way to go. Flippa will get your sale done in, a matter of weeks potentially. But If it's a higher value business that's making up a big percentage of your portfolio, I do think it's better off being a bit more patient and taking the time to, go with a broker or go with a platform that puts few more checks and balances in place. This really is a kind of a Wild West situation as far as business sales go. So it's something to keep in mind if the business is worth a bit of money. And so then the other buy and sell platform that I'm looking at here is Empire Flippers. Now, Empire Flippers is kind of a step up from Flippa in terms of the level of service it offers. There's a bit more curation involved and there's a bit more vetting involved with potential buyers. So you're not going to be dealing with as many, unserious offers or even scams as you will on Flippa. But on the other side of things, you're not going to get the level of service that you might expect from FE International or from Quiet Light. There's going to be a lot of legwork still left to you, and it's not going to be as quick a process as it would be with a full service broker. And so I suppose in summary then, my kind of key piece of advice would be to treat the process with the respect it deserves. Like, you've spent enough time and effort getting your business to a place where it's potentially worth a bit of money in a sale. So the hard work is done. But don't underestimate the selling process, because finding the right price and weeding out the scammers and getting as much value as possible out of your sale, it can be difficult. So think about what buyers are looking for. Think about the help that you might need to provide that, and just give the process the respect it deserves. But yeah, other than that, best of luck to anyone who's involved in this process. I wish you all the best of luck with your upcoming sales. I hope you all make loads of money. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video.